Alright, welcome back. Bring you into the crime scene after we've done all the ugly stuff. I did a video on this walk-in freezer before. It's trash. The receiver was leaking real bad and couldn't be shut off anymore, couldn't be valved off. So the owner was constantly having to have it recharged. So with the cost of Freon, we're going with the fix. So I ordered a new receiver, but this receiver didn't have the actual flare screw-on connections. So we just cut them off. I've got a coupler there. I've got it flared there. Full disclosure, this is not my rig. This was like this when I got here. So I hope that wasn't anything important I just knocked down there, because I'm not getting it back if it was. The high pressure control was not connected to the old receiver. It wasn't working. The low pressure control was connected but wasn't working. So the compressor just ran all the time. So even when it went into defrost, this would pump down to 5 psi, and then it would just keep running and running and running because low pressure cutout was bad. I can't help but notice there's an old compressor there, and this is obviously what they replaced based on how pretty and new it looks. So I wonder if that low pressure control didn't kill that compressor. So we have new low pressure control, new receiver. We obviously had to pull the fan out so we could get. I'm gonna torch this in real quick, and then we'll get the vacuum running and wire everything up. Oi, don't judge me. I'm not done with the wiring. This was a hot mess. So before I went crazy with the conduit, cleaning everything up, I wanted to make sure, because again, they had a dual pressure control and a high pressure. Everything was wackadoo. This was wired up here, but they didn't run anywhere. So starting from zero with this rat's nest, I needed to make sure I put in a high pressure cutout safety there, right? And I've run them in, always get it wrong, right? Which is it? I run them in series. So I'm breaking the same leg of power with both controllers. So my red leg of power runs to the compressor. It's getting its yellow from the start components. And then my black leg of power is running into the high pressure cutout, into the low pressure cutout, and then out to the compressor. Yeah. So I filled it up to the sight glass. So new receiver, new high pressure cutout, new low pressure control. I'm gonna let it run just so the box can pull down in temp a little bit. And then I'm gonna kill it at the breaker again. And I'm gonna go ahead and clean up all these wires so everything's running through conduit. We don't have this mess. Some fun observations. We got a real nice kink right there. I mean, it's from the discharge line, so thankfully the discharge line can get through it. But you can see that has nothing to do with what I did. But also, this compressor isn't bolted down. So that's probably wasn't like that when whoever changed the compressor started. And the compressor's moved. But it's just sitting here. Boy. It's 404, so right now we're running 20-degree coil, but the box is hot. It's been off for an hour and a half. We're going to let it roll. I'm going to dial in the low pressure cutout and clean up these wires. We're back. So this is the following day. This unit became quite frustrating last night, but it's my own fault. Oversight on my end. The low pressure control that I had, I just couldn't get it to behave. It was like backwards. And sure enough, when I checked, I purchased the low pressure control that was open on rise. Open on rise, meaning as the pressure went up, it would cut out, which is why I couldn't get it to dial in. I could get it to cut out, but I couldn't get it to cut back in. because it needed a drop in pressure to cut in. So basically it's like a fan cycle control. Why? So we have the appropriate low pressure control, but for the overnight, because again, we've got a walk-in freezer, we need to be running, I just put a low pressure safety on it. So it was cutting out at, I think 25 or 20, let's see. Nope, it's 10 and 35. So it was cutting out at 10 and cutting back in at 35, so. All right, so it was running good. I just went downstairs. The box is only 10 degrees, but it was in a defrost. So I killed it at the breaker because there is no disconnect up here. So there's your power coming in. So yesterday I had to just kill it at the breaker and leave it off. And you're required by law to have a disconnect up here. So I've got a double pole, double throw switch I'm gonna put in right here just so we can kill it up top. I'll eventually add one to that as well, not today. So let me get everything in position and we'll move forward. This was crazy wired. All right, so the fan was wired to hot all the time. So it was just wired to run. Even when the compressor dropped out, the fan kept running. I've got the proper low pressure control. I decided to move it to there. I know it gets me running close on my Pro, but that doesn't matter. So I've got now the compressor and the fan. They run through the low pressure, through the high pressure safety, through the low pressure control. And right now we're in a defrost. I've got it set to cut out at 15 and cut in at 40. So I'm gonna take it out of defrost. Okay, as the pressure rises, hits 40, fan starts, compressor starts. Alright, when it satisfies and the solenoid closes, it pumps down. About 18 dead. That's what we want. Alright, I'm going to leave this running for now. Let's get it going again. Let the box cool down. Just get the cover on that. I'm going to put the cover back on this, although I didn't take it off. It's not very old. Alright, so we're going to let this run for a little bit. Sight glass is still clear. See how the box pulls down. I think we've got a thermostat issue inside as well. So we'll go take a look at that. Alright, so that was loud, I'll talk up. I put in a disconnect switch. Double pole, double throw. So it kills both legs of power. It's a 30 amp switch. Don't get lazy and put in a 15 amp switch and be like, oh, I'm good, that should cover this. This is on a 20 amp minimum circuit. All you're doing is creating another failure point. What I don't want is in a year for my 10 or 15 amp switch to fail and kill my freezer because I put in a disconnect. I could have put in a big lug disconnect, would have cost them $100, trying to save the customer money. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you put in the appropriate switch. New switch, new receiver, new low pressure control, new high pressure control. The defrost clock is working good. It spins freely, it kept time overnight. I got no issue with that. So, I mean, this thing was a disaster, top to bottom. I didn't do any work on it before now. This is my first trip with this cooler. I own this cooler now. So that's why I had to go all in. Again, the pressure control needed to, nothing here was optional. I mean, that's why we were here in the first place. There's a leak. That wasn't shutting down the compressor. That high pressure switch didn't even have one connected. I added a disconnect. But, I mean, go all in. New stuff, wired up clean, everything straight. I'm cleaning up my mess here. New dryer. I own it. this thing fails now in the next little bit, it's on me. So no callbacks. I am gonna go downstairs, like I said. I'm pretty sure the thermostat is not satisfying proper, but we'll see. This is the customer's gauges and Freon. I'm not going to disconnect it yet just because I want to monitor pressures while she runs and pulls down. I'm going to get it to 10 below. They said this unit really is always 15 or 20 degrees. It's a walk-in freezer. It should be running 10 below. And it's got a fairly new compressor, so it shouldn't have trouble pulling down. Okay, by all data I can gather, this room is about 20 degrees. This says it's 22. This says it's 21. Take a look at the thermostat. It is cooling right now. Right, I'm gonna raise it and see where it stops. 0. The thermostat thinks it's 0 degrees right now. We're 20 degrees off. It's not okay. I gotta change it. Gotta change the thermostat. So we'll make sure that it's not encased in ice, right? It would be reading funny if it was in ice, but it's not. For one last benefit of the doubt, let's wrap this sensor up there with that and see what it says. But it's not going to change 20 degrees. As expected, it is also 22 degrees up there by that bulb, which again thinks it is 0. I killed the power. I am going to, I'm like that guy who skips all the basic steps, right? I just start doing stuff and then I don't start with the basics of, hey, I turned the breaker off. Did that actually power this down? Yes, it did. Good to go. Guess that's the problem with not getting zapped enough. I get complacent, huh? Alright, new thermostat, but look at this. Look how close we were. Real close to a burnout. So it hits the heater. Also, you gotta watch these things will rub out. So I gotta zip tie this up here, keep that from dangling on the heaters, feed this through. I just wanted to show you that. You gotta watch. I mean, that was a couple more defrosts away. So I changed this. It's 31 in here, but realized I just brought this into the freezer, so it's not quite the correct temperature yet. But if we start at 100 and work our way down, it kicks at about 38, and we're 40, and we are 30. So probably it's just the fact that it hasn't, you know, it's still got ambient heat in it from being in my truck. We're gonna set this to, we're gonna go for the gusto. We're gonna set it for, I don't know, about 8 below. Let's go hit the breaker, let it run for a little bit, and then we'll put the temperature clamp and stubby on here. We'll check superheat. We're still only 20. So something else going on. Hang on. Doesn't make sense that the room's 20 degrees. I mean, I was at 3 or 4 degrees in spots here. I mean, I'm running a 5-degree coil. This room is pulling down. I'm like, what the heck? I wonder if it was in a defrost. I was just working on a different machine for about half an hour, giving this time to pull down, and I wonder if it was in a defrost. That's gonna be super aggravating. Also, there is hot, hot air right here. Look, 50 degrees. 36, 32, I mean, that's not, it's just a vent to to the outside for the freezer? Really? I'm about to take that thing off, silicone it up. I'm gonna go see it. If we were in a defrost, that makes total sense. Because again, the room, ambient to the room is 10, 12, 7, 12. Let's see. Always happy to say, what the heck? On the other side of this wall is a wall. That vent doesn't go anywhere. I promise. Freezer ends here. Wall. Wall. No vents. That is a heater. Which I guess I would understand. You would put a heater there if this were venting out, because you would get condensation and it would freeze and then problems. But like, it's just no. Look at this. Yeah, adios to this. Why are we running a heater in the freezer? Like, no. With the other side of that clogged up, that heat was just filling the, I mean, I don't know. I know we're running a 5-degree coil, and yet I couldn't get the box below 20. I just unhooked the power from in here, capped everything off, so she's good. We're gonna let her run for a while, see what she pulls down to. Coils look good. Coils are frosty.